Welcome to Rugby Heads, powered by the Pig Athletic Club, your ultimate destination for all things rugby. Join us as we dive into the highlights of the past week, break down the biggest moments, and spotlight the players who made it all happen. Whether you're a diehard fan like us or new to the game, Rugby Heads has got you covered. So let's scrum down and engage in some good old-fashioned ruggers chat. Thanks to ChatGPT for hooking that intro up. But my name is Sione. You might remember me from all the highlights of myself I keep resharing on the Pig Athletic Club socials, or you might have seen me under your rugby crushers thirst traps with the old liked by @Sionena. If not, it's a pleasure to be on your screen for the first time. You know what they say, you never forget your first time. But someone who is forgettable is my co-rugby head. This guy was once touted as the next big thing in rugby league before turning his back on the J Rugby code to become Simon Cron's #1 draft pick out of St. Pugh's College. However, just like Johnny Football Manziel, he couldn't live up to the hype on the field. But he is the reigning off-field club captain of the Northern Suburbs Rugby Club. Please welcome, from Ironside Plumbing, Alex Ironside. Welcome, mate. We're back, baby.
Outstanding. I think this is been part of Pack maybe for over a year, and it's about our 5th relaunch. But
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to the relaunch. And I'm just going to correct you. It's St. Pius, not St. Pew.
Yeah. Yeah, I was gonna. How do you say the X?
Right,
is that meant to be 10?
Yeah, it's meant to be.
Shit name for a school. Shit name. For those listening, that's actually Michael Hooper's school. So put some respect on it. Put some respect. Yeah, the reason why we broke off from the Pig Athletic Club podcast was we still got the pod, going to be midweek with myself and Ryan. But yeah, we had some feedback from some of our loyal podcast listeners, notably the girls. They said too much rugby chat. So we're going to waffle on the Pack podcast, but we're going to chat all things rugby on this early in the week. Myself and Ironside have club rugby, that's our background. We didn't quite make it to the top echelon, but hopefully we can snake one of the former pros to join our little pundit show that we got going on here. So this is our first one, and welcome to Rugby Heads. I just came up with it last night. It might change, so yes, stay tuned.
I like the name of it, and I think that person, I've got him on the hook. I think he might be joining us. I think we might have him for next week. We won't have names, but I think we got him.
Yeah, let's go. If he doesn't, then we'll be on the lookout for another #1 draft pick to put some respect on it, because we're at the moment we're not pros, so we can't talk out of line against some of these players. But big things coming, as Chainsaw would say. Big things coming. Yeah. All right, a little bit of rundown from today's show. We're going to start off every show with our top performers from the week, and then we'll go around the grounds and discuss all things rugby as we go into the Crusaders' season comeback, possibly, the vacant Waratahs coaching job, Wallaroos' quick fixes, Dupont's GOAT-like performance, Richie's potential return to the All Blacks, and then we go into our rugby head thought of the week, how we think we can make rugby great again, and then we finish off with our Super Rugby tips of the week. Okay, let's get things started with our top 3 performers from the past week.
I think I'm going to go 3 different leagues here, and all different levels. So we've already brought it up, but I think it's hard to go past Dupont's finals performance, mate. Yeah. We'll talk about it a bit later, but he's the best in the world at the moment.
He's incredible.
Every time you think someone else is going to be better, he just kills it.
Yeah.
Then I'm going to go to Shoot Shield, actually, and I'm going to do a joint #2, and they're both centres, and I actually didn't match up against each other. I told you today about this.
Yeah.
But one, Pack Pathways is Connor Hickey at 13 for the Rats. And he killed it the other week against, I think it was Sydney Uni. But he's just a dangerous bloke with the ball, and if he doesn't get going sevens, I really hope he gets to go somewhere, because he's young and, mate, he's a good footy player, and he played really well against North. And it wasn't his opposite number, but it was the 12 for North. So a good friend of mine, a bit biased, but he made about 1,000 tackles, and it's probably one of the best games I've seen him play at North is Harry Bury.
Yeah.
With a good stand sign off. I don't know if you saw that. He commented on his dad's golf game after, but yeah.
Cheers, guys. Just want to give a quick shout out to my old man. He had a terrible round of golf this morning. I know he's been working hard, so stick at it, buddy. You'll get there soon.
So that's my 2 joint shoot shield. And then I'm going to go straight back to Super Rugby. And I'm going to go Xavier Numai for the Hurricanes.
Yeah.
Mate, he is got to be one of the best props going at the moment. Scrummaging around the park, I just love him.
Yeah.
Something about him, I just like, I want to be his mate. I have a beer with him, and he's just got something about him, and I rate him.
Yeah, I think we had him in our team of the week for pretty much more than half the season. But mate, his try as well. Like scrummaging he's got it now, and then his running game's always been great. But that try on the weekend, I'm like, freaking hell, freak.
So good.
My top 3 performers from the week. I'm going to start off with Black Ferns. At number 3, I've got Kaipo Olsen Baker. Black Ferns, I think they have the best 3 number 8s in the game in Leila Sae, Liana Mikaletu, and Kaipo Olsen Baker. This is the first season in the Black Ferns full-time squad, and she started 3rd on the depth chart at the start of the season, and 3 games in, I think she's got that number 1 spot down pat. She's always consistent every time she gets the ball. You know, sometimes you get those players like myself. You have a one-off game, like if you get the ball early and you get smashed, then you're gonna get smashed all game. But she's got one level. She just goes hard, keeps the legs pumping, and so keep an eye out for Kaipo Olsen Baker. And number 2, Black Ferns again, Sylvia Brunt. She's always had that dog in her, but I feel like against Canada, she didn't really have all the opportunities that she should have had to bring that out. But on the weekend, she was bargaining like a dog. Feel sorry for our Wallaroos girls because, she was on. Sylvia Brunt was on, and she gets my number 2 spot. But at number 1, I didn't want to give it to Dupont because we'll be chatting about him later, but he should have. But I'm going to give my number 1 to Jone Nakambula, the winger for Toshiba Brave Blossoms. Scored 2 tries and set up the eventual match winner in the team of superstars. He himself is a superstar, plays for Japan, but Jone Nakambula was right up there. All right, let's go around the grounds and chat a bit of code. Starting off with the Crusaders, they defeated the Blues, the number 1 Blues in Christchurch, keeping their narrow playoff hopes alive. Do you think they're going to sneak into the 8?
Well, the way it's set up, and let's not get too critical in our first show, everyone's going to make it that kind of should anyway.
Yeah.
A top 8 out of top 12 is fucking stupid in my mind.
Yeah.
I think they could sneak in. My biggest problem is that game was just really badly reffed, and not just on Crusaders or Blues side. Like, I just think it just marred the game a little bit for me.
Yeah.
Bit too much whistle blowing, but I know that wasn't the question. I think the Crusaders could sneak in. They've got such a good squad, but they play such a shit style of footy for what they've got. And there's something about how they're playing. I think they might sneak in, but I think they were just kind of lucky on the weekend because they just played what was in front of them.
Yeah. Oh, I think a big comeback for them is Cody Taylor. He was on the weekend. He was just warming up his first game the week before. But, I'm scared if they do get into the 8, I feel like I said it on the pack pod, but if they do get into the 8, they're winning the thing. They're going to win the whole thing because they're getting all their players back now as well. So I hope Fiji win and blocks them coming in.
It's Fiji at home as well. So, like,
yeah, but it's Fiji and the Rebels. You never know what you're going to get with those two on game day. So let's hope Fiji get it done. Even though, I said Rebels going to win the thing. They've done well from dropping from 4th place and now almost might finish in the 8th place. So, I don't know why that wasn't part of the question, but it's just in my heart. Need to let it out.
But why is it a top 8? It's a super, like, that is the most ridiculous thing in the world.
Some work-ons for the Supreme Leaders at Super Rugby. Change it to a 6 and it's easy. All right. Last week, Waratahs announced that they will not offer coach Darren Coleman a contract extension beyond this current season. On the weekend, they went down to Moana Pacifica 27-12, which they're lucky to get those 12 points, which means they will finish the season with the wooden spoon. If you were the GM at the Waratahs, who would you be hiring to take over DC?
I think you got to look internally, and I look at the timeline of when the next Super Rugby season is, and it's post an Olympics. And I think there's a man that's coaching the men's sevens that has won 3 shoot shields and should have a crack at Super Rugby is John Minetti. I know he's our greatest, bestest of friends, but I honestly think that he's a great option as a coach. I don't think anyone immediately comes to mind in Australian rugby that I can think of that's ready for that kind of, promotion.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think Manetti's just he's coached some like awesome shoot shield sides, but yeah, he'd be my pick. I'm going to go Manetti.
Yeah. This is why, we think alike. I also had John Manetti. I had him, I looked into the future. I had him fresh off winning the Olympics with Australia. I think he deserves the role. You already mentioned the job he's done at Eastwood. Everyone in Shoot Shield knows him. The players at Waratahs should all know him. The players in the Sevens program, they love playing under him. And he just creates that sort of environment. And I don't know if you're the same, but I feel like the Aussie girls Sevens team have always had that love. But I feel like since he's been in the position as head coach of the men's team, he's really brought the fans on board and a better brand of rugby for us supporters to get behind the Aussie Sevens men's team. So, mate, I'm backing John Manenti. I hope he gets that opportunity. I think he deserves the opportunity. And Rugby Australia, if you're listening, because they own New South Wales now, don't they? Yeah, just upgrade him. Or I don't even know if it's upgrade him. Just move him from that office to the Waratahs office.
I just like on that as well. Like he was at Eastwood and Norse, played Colts, like second Colts and third Colts on a Wednesday night, and then third grade and fourth grade on a Thursday night. And he was there from every game. Like when he's not coaching, he's around Eastwood with his club, which is great. But he's also around club footy, and I think it's really shown this year with the Tars, all the injuries, that you have to utilise that kind of club footy shoot shield to your disposal. Might work, might not, but some of them through that have really done way better than they probably exceeded expectations. So
yeah,
I think he's got that finger on the ground a little bit as well with that stuff.
Yeah, well, get him in. I also had Checker, question mark, but I don't think Checker would want it. He's been there, done that, and he's rich as fuck, so he doesn't need the money. So yeah, I don't think he'll be keen for it.
Super Rugby is such a different slog to probably international. I think it's just a longer, more involved job, I guess, than an international coach, because coaching, that is the blocks.
Yeah, and also Super Rugby is not like coaching job. It's not up there with the European massive clubs. Like that would be one of the coach's dream to get one of those clubs. But yeah, big things happening for Super Rugby. Stay tuned. I don't know. All right, over to women's. The Black Ferns took the Wallabies to school on the weekend with a 67-19 thrashing, which leaves the Wallaroos winless to open their Joe Yap era. Now, the Wallaroos have been relegated from WXV1 to WXV2. If you were Coach Joe Yap, what changes, if any, are you making to ensure that we are winning next year's Rugby World Cup in UK?
I did watch a couple of the games, and I think that the style of rugby didn't really suit. I think maybe what Joe Yap's brought maybe didn't suit the actual cattle that we've got. I think that it suits probably a more like a heavier pack and stuff like that. I think the Wallaroos look good when they're a bit more dynamic. I just find even in that Canadian game when they played them, they just weren't getting the ball to the wings at all. They were just trying to muscle up the middle. So
yeah,
I think there needs to be an adjustment of Joe Yap's. I think you need to find a happy medium between her style and the Wallaroos style, not just one or the other. Because that's not a great start to your career, especially getting pumped by the Black Ferns. No one likes you lose New Zealand.
I think us getting relegated and losing to USA the other week was a massive drop off from where we were. Like Shone Fuka and the team the last few years, it kind of took them a while to find that style of Wallaroos rugby, and I think they finally found it last year in WXV one, where we ended up beating France. We almost beat England. And that was the best kind of rugby that the girls had played. But yeah, it looked like they're going back to the drawing board with Joe Yap. Unfortunately, it's always going to happen, but I hope that it doesn't go down that Eddie Jones era where, she came in and she got rid of a lot of the experienced heads. And yeah, it's a massive drop off from WXV1, the team that we saw that went out there where set piece was actually dominant. Now our set piece is is gone back to where it was a year ago, where we'll get him dominated. So my fix, I said, bring in the Aussie Sevens girls for the Rugby World Cup, and also get some of the girls that left and went to NRLW. We need them just for the World Cup year, and then we'll rebuild after that, because we need help, bruv. I'll get into it more in my thoughts, but yeah, we need all the help we can get.
Just quick on the Wallaroos, I think she's fucking one of my favourite players in all of rugby is Ash Masters. She's such a goer. Runs the ball. She's dynamic in defence, even like just getting around the park. I loved watching her play. I've started, doing this, obviously watch a bit more rugby, and just, watching more of the Wallaroos. She's good. Yeah. We need her for the World Cup for 80 minutes every game.
Yeah. They definitely missed her on the weekend. And to go back to what you said earlier, that they didn't get the ball to the wings, which is where they were scoring all the points first half of the US game and most of the Canada game when they did go out to the wings. The commentators actually mentioned that every time Maya got the ball, they're like, oh, she looks like their best player. Why aren't they getting her the ball every time she got the ball on the weekend? So, mate, rugby heads, we're thinking alike with the commentators. So we're on here. All right, over to Europe. Toulouse were crowned Kings of Europe with their OT win over Leinster? Yeah, I always get Leicester and Leinster mixed up. Leinster, the Irish one. In front of a sellout at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, Dupont finished the match with 4 turnover wins and 2 50-22s. Jim Hamilton referred to him as the greatest player of all time. Is he your GOAT? Or if not, who is?
I don't think rugby is a sport where you can have the greatest of all time. You can have probably the greatest of all time in every position. So I'm gonna say he's probably is getting up to be the greatest 9 of all time. Yeah. But the greatest rugby player of all time, I don't know.
Who's the greatest 9s for you? Who's in that circle there?
I mean, Gregan, you have to have just that might be a bit biased, but that's purely because of growing up with that, mate. I reckon Aaron Smith, like up there, like on World Cups, he's won Super Rugby. What was the big? It might not be the greatest of all time, but it's made me reminisce. The big Welsh bloke that played 9. He was massive.
Mike Phillips.
I've got his name. Yeah, Mike Phillips. I think so. He was big. He was big. Yeah. Yeah, him. Dupont, but Dupont's got to be. He's got to be up there. But he's not going to get a World Cup, I don't think.
Gregan was definitely up there. He won World Cups and he was just class. Yeah, I would have had Gregan. Aaron Smith was my number 1, but I think I reckon Dupont's number 1, greatest number 9 of all time, just because he's kind of changed the game. You didn't really see 9s like 4 turnover wins. You didn't see, and you see in the replays the work he does off the ball to get to that ruck. He's just sprinting. It's just, he's a bloody animal. And
I think if you watch one of those 50-22s, right, I was talking about this with someone today, he's the smallest bloke on the field, right? So you watch him kick that 50-22, he didn't look down the field to check if anyone was there. He's so intelligent. You watch him, he looks across the defensive line and he sees that the winger's in his defensive line, and that was his moment to go, I'm going to kick a 50-22. It wasn't that he saw it. He's looked at the defensive line because he's not tall enough to have seen back over that.
He's like a Mahomes, like Mahomes does throws when he's not even looking at where he's throwing it. He's definitely changing the game, and mate, if he comes, he's obviously going to win the silver because Australia's going to win the gold at the Olympics. But mate, he's got to be up there. But you said no GOATs for anything other than positions, but I think Jonah's always going to be the GOAT. But I'm Tongan, so I'm biased.
Richie McCaw, Dan Carter.
I'm not even going to get into Richie McCaw and Dan Carter chat.
Kieran Reid.
Your Kiwi side's coming out, mate.
I actually think Kieran Reid's probably my favourite out of all 3 of them, but that's just going to play number 8. So you can't do anything right. You can be biased. You can't not be biased.
Yeah, I'm on that as well. I think Kieran Reid was better out of those 3. But yeah, anyways, we digress. All right, back to it. Toshiba broke the hearts of Panasonic fans by winning the Japanese League One title in dramatic fashion. Richie Mo'unga has now won 4 NPC titles, 7 Super Rugby trophies, and is now a Japanese League One champion. New Zealand Rugby Union have made no secret of it. They come out and said they want Richie back. Do you think the All Blacks need him, or should they just move on with the current crop?
The way he played, I didn't get that full game, but the way I saw him play and have seen him play is that why couldn't he do that for the next 4 years? I just think he's just getting better with age. So why wouldn't you have him? I think we've gone down the path of in rugby where, we want the next big thing. Why don't we just run everyone until they're done and then just give the next guy a chance?
Yeah. Well, I think
I'd have him.
I think the reasoning for him going to Japan was he couldn't turn down the cash money because they were off that he's getting good money, and he said the only reason I'm going is to set up my family, which you don't blame him for that. But I think New Zealand Rugby Union are kind of trying to work in between because he's gone for 3 years, so he's got 2 more seasons, and then there's that World Cup year one, which as a Tongan, I really hope that he doesn't come back and he just tries to bring out a decent Tongan side around him. But yeah, I think from the talent that's gone around, and even D-Mac, and I know Bowden Barrett's gone back to NZ Rugby, I still think Richie is the better one out of all of them. But yeah, my Tongan side wishes that he doesn't. And if he's listening, please stay on course, mate. We got this. You got it, Dave. War Japs. Thank you, Tony.
I mean, fuck. It just goes back to we've brought it up heaps of times before. Why can't they just play where the fuck they want and then play for their country?
Yeah.
Just go. Let's just go. Let's go.
Which is what Razor said. And if you see all these trophies, Razor was in each and every one of those trophies, except for this one. He had Blackadder. So, yeah. All right. Before we get to our Super Rugby tips, let's go to our Rugby Head Thought of the Week. This is something where we, at Pig Athletic Club, we want to make rugby great again. We want to help this game. NRL's taken over the bloody country, but we want rugby to be back in that conversation, at least be on the news somewhere. So what are our thoughts? What are your thought of the week or something you've been pondering?
I had been pondering this with our hopeful another co-host that would join us next week. I'm working on him, but we were talking about this the other week, is that this one's for the mums and the dads out there listening in. When we were growing up, I don't know about you, but my dad would take me to the footy, or I'd be watching footy and he'd go, watch the number 8 play, watch him play. For me, was when we went to Eastwood and Hugh Parrott was playing, watch him play, watch Kieran Reid play, watch him for 10 minutes. And you'd sit there as a kid watching a full footy game. I don't think kids are watching footy anymore. I think they're watching highlights and they're just trying to do all the tricky stuff too much now. And I think we need to go back to taking your kids to the footy, down to Shoot Shield, 2nd grade, 3rd grade, 1st grade, whatever it be, Super Rugby, Wallabies. If your kids are 10, if your kids are fullback, whatever, tell them to watch them for 5-10 minutes. And I think that just doesn't happen anymore. I think people are just watching too many touch highlights and all that stuff, and it gets a bit tricky. And I feel like you're seeing that with a lot of young guys now. They just try too much in Super Rugby when some of the best players just do the simple shit right. Yeah, anyway,
and you can see the people that played rugby growing up, but have gone over to the dark side, rugby league, and don't watch rugby anymore. It's because they didn't sit there watching and understanding the game. They was like, oh, what are the rules? I'm like, it's the same fucking rules from back in the days, just a little bit things changed. They didn't do that. I also did that as a kid, except I was watching Lottie Takiri, Marcus Bai in rugby league, and then all of a sudden I'm a prop. So I was watching the wrong guys. Make sure you're watching.
I watch Benji Marshall a lot, and I still try and flick past everything. So there you go.
That's a good shout. My one was on the women's game. Super W. I feel like the way the Wallaroos are, it's proof that Super W is way too far off from the international standard that we want to be, that the Wallaroos should be. So I'm saying and the New Zealand pundits have said it as well. If we want the Super W to join with the Super Rugby Aupiki, New Zealand teams are going to beat. New Zealand team they only have 4 teams. We have more than New Zealand teams, and we just don't have the talent to be up to that standard. So at the moment, probably the Wallaroos would probably fit the bill to play against those 4 Aupiki teams. But I think with our 5 Super Rugby franchises, I think we should be scrapping the whole thing. We shouldn't follow the way the men's game is, and we should follow what's working. NRL. They actually build clubs that people connect to rather than it being a trial for the Wallaroos or the Wallabies. They should build in clubs that people connect to rather than it being a rep side. Like the Waratahs, all these super clubs, the reason why we don't really connect to it, we connect to it when they're doing well, but we see them as rep sides. Like we go when our friends are playing, but we don't really fully connected as we are to our local clubs. So I think they should start from scratch or just build up the local clubs and fill that with maybe 2 teams if something that we could go and up against the Aupiki girls to make a proper comp. And I think the Aupiki girls should do the same, scrap the Super Rugby sort of thing and go get one of the local clubs, fill those sort of teams, and make a comp from scratch that actually works and people can connect to. So that's what I've been thinking about. I think don't follow the blueprint of the men's game because it's proven that it's not working, and it's a little bit too late for us to go back to club rugby because everyone says, oh, wouldn't it be great for Warringah to be the pro team similar to all the teams in France? They're not rep sides, they're clubs that people love, and you see all the people that get behind it, the city in there. Like, yeah, so that's one thing I've been thinking of. Don't follow the men's game, follow your own path. Kapumka, that's totally nice for thank you. Oh, I think so.
Completely agree with that.
All right, and let's finish off with our Super Rugby tips. Yeah, obviously, they haven't named the teams, but we'll, as like always, let's pick our picks prematurely. Starting with the game on Friday, first one, Crusaders hosting Moana Pacifica.
I think they got a bit of a run on Crusaders.
Yeah, Crusaders at home. It's going to be like last year. Hopefully not as big as their win against Moana last year at Crusaders to finish the season. But yeah, I've got the Crusaders winning, which sets up the weekend really nicely to see who's going to get into that 8th position. Second game, Waratahs' last game at home, or last game of the season as well. Marky Mark's last game in rugby union, last game for the Waratahs against the Reds. Hopefully our mate Molly's named. So who are you going, Reds or Waratahs?
Waratahs if Molly and George or Michael Scott are playing, and if none of them are playing, then I'm going for the Reds.
Yeah,
I'm going for the real game on that night, which is Norse versus Manly. I'm going for Norse by 12 points before the game at 5 o'clock at Allianz.
Oof. I'll keep my my bias for not picking any Norse guys in our team of the week, so I'm going to go Manly for that pre-game, and I'll go the Reds for the main game. All right, on the first game on Saturday, Drua hosting Rebels in a must-win to secure their spot in the 8. Who are you backing?
Drua at home, never bet against them.
All right, Drua. So we're all locking in Drua. Second game on the Saturday, Hurricanes host the Highlanders. Highlanders have been doing well. Who you got?
I'm going to go purely because I dusted off an old Highlanders jersey I found in the cupboard. I'm going to go Highlanders. I think that the Hurricanes need a loss before they go and win the comp.
Yeah, nice. How you got the Highlanders? Is your family from Dunners?
I got fucking family all over, but it's a good one.
Yeah, that's actually
found in the cupboard.
I missed the old Adidas jerseys. Hurricanes, even with this, if they put their second team in, they're all fighting for a position in that spot in the starting squad. So, yeah, I think the Hurricanes are going to win massively. Blues off a loss to the Crusaders. They host the Chiefs.
I think the Blues.
Yep. Yeah, I've gone Blues as well. Perofeta back.
Not confident.
I'm confident with this one. I think the Chiefs are sort of falling off, even though I feel like they should have won last week. Reffing choices. But yeah, we won't go into that. But yeah, I think the Blues at home, big crowd. Let's go. Okay, and the last game, Force versus Brumbies. It could come down to this if Drew will lose.
I think that, honestly, the Force are going to win it. They're like the most hot and cold team along with the Rebels. I think the Force are going to win it for some reason.
Yeah, true. I've gone the Brumbies, but yeah, Force at home are just like Fiji at home.
It's just the weirdest, like them and the Rebels is like they'll beat a team by 20 points, then play a team that lost to that other team and then beat them and then lose by 50. I don't know what it is. They either win or they get pumped.
Yeah. The multis nightmare, mate. All my multis have lost this year and it's been a fucking nightmare because what teams like this, if you're going to lose, fucking keep losing.
It's so inconsistent.
Yeah. All right, and that was our first Rugby Heads show. Thanks for joining us. But before we go, shout outs. Do you have any shout outs you want to shout out for the week?
Yeah, we brought it up, but everyone get down like a shoot shield curtain raiser for Super Rugby. Wish it was a Saturday night, but Friday night, 5 o'clock, 5:05 kickoff. Manly versus Norse. Two teams up the top end. I think it'd be a good game of footy. I think both are starting to find a bit more form. Yeah. So get down there, watch that. But yeah, quick shout out to them, and then quick shout out to the Tars. Last game of season, but our mates Reds are coming down, so I will be a neutral fan this week as for Pack, but I hope that the Tars win. Cheers.
Yeah, nice. Off the back of that, I'll shout out to Coach DC. If it's your last thing you're going to do in the job, put Molly in, please. And if Molly plays for the Tars, I'm back in the Tars. I'll put a handy on him. Put him in. Even if you put him on the bench and don't put him on, just put him in the team. Thank you, Tony. And I got another shout out. He played his second last game for Moana Pacifica and his second last game of professional rugby. Former Waratahs. If Waratahs, I don't know if they got a Hall of Fame, but this guy would be in the Hall of Fame. Sekope Kepu. One of my favourite players when I finally switched to a prop, when I got the tap on the shoulder and said, "You're too fat to play in the back row." Sekope Kepu was, he was the blueprint. He was the standard. He was the, especially as a Wallaby, he was one of the greats. So yeah, shout out to Sekope Kepu, and also shout out to all our loyal Pack podcast followers. Yeah, I've seen your messages. Boys are coming back. I'll be back with Freeney on the later in the week to waffle. So tune into that. And if you've just found us on YouTube, thank you for coming. Like and subscribe. Thanks, mate, and we'll see you next week. We've got to end the show with something. What should we end it?
What do you mean, like?
We'll figure something. If you got any ideas, drop them in the comments. Yeah. Okay, let's go.